Hello, it's Average Joel. Today we're going to be installing this vanity and sink into our bathroom. The first thing I'm going to do, I've placed it preliminarily, trying to line up as best I could the old drain pipe coming out with the new sink extension. So I'd install that black piece right there on the sink first. So what I've done, I've marked about where the sink will go based on that. That side and this side, I don't know if you can see, but we're going to have to pull the sink back out and cut the baseboard there so that we can fit the cabinet flush against the wall. So I'm using a oscillating multi-tool, they call it. It's pretty good for making these kind of small detailed cuts. It is going to damage the drywall behind it, but I can live with that because the cabinet should butt up against the baseboard and kind of hide the drywall. The only other option would be to take the whole baseboard off and cut it with a circular saw or table saw or something like that. This was a lot easier. Okay, so we got our two cuts made with that oscillating tool. Now we're just going to pry off that baseboard and we'll be on our way. So here I'm just kind of working it with a screwdriver and pry off that quarter round first. This baseboard didn't come off right away. There was a small piece of wood that was still attached. My cut with the oscillating tool didn't go all the way through. So I just took the tool back out and just hit that little part that was hanging on, and then it came off pretty easily. Okay, so we got the notch cut out of our baseboard there. We're able to fit it in nicely. However, the level is showing us that we're not quite level. We got to raise up the right hand side. Well, apparently this vanity that we bought didn't have the adjustable legs. They just have these pegs. So I'm going to try and put a washer on each of the ones on the right hand side to try and get it more level. So I found the level was off from front to back. The back needed to come up some. So I've also put a washer in the back left and the back right. So I actually have two washers on the back right because I needed height on the back and the right. Hopefully that makes sense. This is the only leg without a washer. So we'll get it up and see if it's level. Okay, so the next part is going to be securing the cabinet to the wall. My stud finder wasn't working, so we went old school. I kind of pounded the wall and tried to find where they were, and then used just a hammer and nail to confirm it. So I've got the locations marked. There's one there and one there. So we're going to go ahead and secure the cabinet. Transferred the marks on the wall to the cabinet. So now we're just going to drill so that we hit into the studs, so we're able to secure it to the studs. I got in the middle vertically there. We had to go a little lower on this side because that plastic corner bracket was there, right where the stud is. Now we're going to go ahead and drill through the cabinet and the stud to secure it. I'm using 3-inch screws here to make sure we have a secure hold. If you had to use the drywall, you'd have to put anchors behind to make sure it's secured to the drywall, but really prefer securing into studs. Okay, so we got our sink and our drain hardware. We're gonna assemble this before we put the sink on the cabinet. It's pretty simple. This will go through the hole, and then this will screw in from the bottom side. This will form like a compression fitting. So we'll drop it through here and grab it from the other side. Kind of push this gasket up as far as we can. our faucet. Easy enough. We're just going to take the nuts off the bottom, put them through the holes, and then tighten on the other side. This has a built-in plastic gasket here. Okay, these are the hookups for our water supply. They thread in pretty easy, and they have a compression fitting here, so we don't need any Teflon tape or anything. Just thread right on there. Okay, we're applying a bead of silicone caulk around the whole vanity top. You don't really want to glob a big bead here because it's just going to smear out when you put the sink down. So just a small bead all the way across the perimeter. Not real particular. If you do get some over the edge, you can always wipe it up afterwards. But when you do, make sure you check the inside and outside. Yeah, you might want help with this part. It was kind of awkward to lay the sink down there. I should have really went corner to corner with the sink, probably. Would have kept my hands dry. Okay, we're going to thread in our water supply now. So moving on to the trap hardware, we went ahead and bought the whole deal here with a P-trap kit. I also needed a tail piece extension because the sink drain didn't go far down enough. Make sure you check everything loosely before you tighten it. Here we have the, I guess you call it the arm, trap arm if you will. You want to put the coupling nuts on as shown. The washer, always the fat end you always want against the coupling. So go ahead and thread the nut onto the threaded wall pipe, just loosely, just enough to hold it there. That nut doesn't require a washer. You'll see the end of the pipe that fits into the trap is fitted. Like I said, our sink drain wouldn't reach, so we bought this tailpiece extension, sorry. You want to put the nut up and then the washer facing downward like it is here. Then we're going to add the tailpiece extension here and just thread the nut on. Now we're going to finally add the trap and just secure it with the nut on both sides. You can see there is the green washer coming down from the tailpiece extension. Again, you want the fattest part of the washer against the coupling nut. So again, that green washer that you see is pointing downward, the fat part against the coupling nut. I had to kind of work it back into the wall to line up the tailpiece extension there to the trap. So we're lining everything up. Everything looks good. Go ahead and torque everything down. Just hand tightening is enough. You don't need to get a wrench out or anything. These compression fittings are pretty forgiving. That's really all there is to it. As long as you have all the right hardware, you have all the washers and nuts that you need, it's really not too bad. So the complete assembly here, that sink extension was a 1.5, but it had a washer that fits the 1.25 inch tailpiece. So we're fortunate there. We had an adapter washer. We want to go ahead and run the water. Make sure there's no immediate leaks. Check the water supply here, and also the drain. Probably want to put some paper underneath the first few days just to see if anything's leaking. Okay, so our last step, we're going to caulk around the sink. Put some painter's tape on just so it will look better, because I don't caulk that well in a straight line. So we're just going to start here, see how well I can do this one-handed. Try and fill this gap. It's a little difficult to get around the sink here. I'm going to take a little bit of water and put it on my finger and just kind of run it along the bead. take the tape off. I don't know how well you can see that, but it looks pretty good from here.